Welcome back
Hello,
to the
hello, hello,
channel.
hello, hello, hello. I
Yeah,
beat you to it.
you beat me. How you
How's
doing today,
everyone
Mitchell?
doing today? I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Welcome
Too.
back to Getting That MD, getting that medical degree. Where we talk everything related medicine. Um, Come with us in our journey to, you know, get into medical school after we take the MCATs. So we're gonna be talking about different topics, medical related. So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about reviewing for exams, which will probably be a lot more
Mm,
videos on this topic because there's a lot to learn about this. So,
beautiful.
so there's 5 basic steps, I think. Right? I think there's 5 steps, right? Yeah.
Yep, there are five steps.
Yeah. So I'm making sure I'm not miscounting here. So first one is just make time. I feel like that's super important. I think Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, we all have we. I know that people say that they don't have time, but we reality we do have time for things that matters to us. So you always have time for whatever matters to you. So if you're studying, it's important to you, you'll have time.
I mean, especially if you look at your phone, like you go to like the app on your
The
phone, it
clock-
tells you how much time you actually use it.
Oh,
That scares a lot of people.
okay.
You're like, oh, I was on Instagram for 8 hours today. Oops. Well, that's time you could have been studying, bro. So you have time. You're on your phone for 8 hours a day. You have time. So
Sheesh.
yeah, there's a lot of students that look at that on their phone. I tell them to like, oh, I didn't know I was on Instagram that long. I'm like, yeah, imagine that. So people reach out to me like, oh, how do I make time? I'm like, limit your phone usage, maybe.
Yeah.
So understand each question when there's a question. So do you have any examples for this for like the MCAT? Relate back to the MCAT.
What's that? I didn't understand the question.
Step two. Do you have any like
I'm
examples of
kidding. I'm
that?
kidding. I'm kidding.
Ah,
Of course. So cars. Um, Sometimes it might look tricky, but it's really not, and you just have to understand. So one trick that I learned, I believe, the middle school is like you need to read the question as many times as you need to until you actually understand what the question is trying to tell you. Sometimes you might think that you know in the first glance, but in reality, I lost a lot of points because I didn't really fully read the entire question or I didn't understand the entire question. So that's what I do. I mean, it works for me. I reread the question until I get it, until I'm like, okay, this is what they're asking for.
a lot of questions have patterns too, especially on the MCAT. Once you learn like the pattern of what the question's actually asking you, it's a lot easier to go through it. Like they do say do practice questions all the time because like there's a lot of patterns in asking questions. There's only so many ways you can ask a certain question. So after you see the type of question that many times, you're gonna be like, oh, this is kind of what they're asking. Here's the tricks to avoid. You know, it's kind of with my law exams how I've taken those. So understand the options. What do you want to talk about for that one?
Well, so it's comparable to nursing. On nursing exams or nursing tests, they give you four different answers, and pretty much all of them are right, but you have to choose the answer that is the most correct, the answer that makes sense to the question, the answer that is relevant. Um, so you do have to understand um, when it comes to when it comes to reviewing, you do have to understand the topic inside and out. You can't just like memorize. Oh yeah, this is the answer for that. Or yeah, this is the formula. You have to know how to use the formula, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of how pharmacy was too. You pretty much have to understand the options. Like when you look at a question and you're reviewing a question, you'd be like, gonna go through the question and go through each answer choice and understand what would make that answer choice be correct. If you can do that, you understand the topic. If you can't, try to review the topic a bit better, which goes to the next step, which is learn the material. So if you can't understand like why what would make each answer choice correct, you need to go back to that material until you can for
And that
every
comes to
single
topic
question.
number four, which is relearn the material.
Yeah. So that's a lot
I
of
kind of
work.
have like a yeah, I kind of have like an issue with relearning the material because sometimes I'm like, dude, but I already saw this like not too long ago.
Yep.
Like I already studied this, and then I have to relearn it. But there is a good thing that I learned on the while I was studying for the MCAT is that the relapse time. So the time it takes you to relearn something, it shortens the many more times that you actually go through it. So that's why Anki is such a good thing, because you're going through spaced repetition and then you're repeating the studying their topics or questions or whatever, and then you shorten the time, but then they will ask you, or they will bring the flashcards again. It's kind of like take a week or so and then relearning it, and then take less than a week or more than a week and then relearning it and then relearning it. It's a little tedious. I don't like doing it. I wish my brain was just like absorb everything, but sadly, my brain's not that good.
Sometimes it's a bad flashcard too, and sometimes you're like, man, this flashcard I can never get, and it's actually just a bad flashcard. You just need to go back and restudy material and do like the Feynman method, figure out where your gap is in the material. It's also that issue as well. Which kind of goes with the next point, which is rewrite it or separate the hardest topics.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't do rewriting. I don't rewrite anything. I kind of like, yeah, I don't rewrite anything. I just take one note. That's it.
I rewrite if I'm doing the Feynman method, which is just taking a blank piece of paper and writing everything out about the topic. That's the only time I rewrite it, because that's active learning and it's using kinesthetic and other senses as well. That's the only time I'll rewrite it.
So can you explain a little bit more what the Feynman method is for everyone that is listening?
Yeah, so let's say I'm talking about hypertension. So I'll write on top of the page hypertension. You want us to be maybe one page total, front and back, max. And then I'll write out the topic in simplest terms as possible and just try to write it out from memory. It'll take me maybe a half hour, an hour to do it. Sometimes if I know the topic and actually get through it all. And whenever you forget something, just like put like a line there or something, like, oh, I forgot that. And then just keep going till you get to the end of the where you think the end of the topic would be. You go back to your notes and you fill in the gaps. Crumble a piece of paper up, throw it away, take a little break, and do it again. And if you can do that, you know the
And it
topic.
goes back to the you gotta have time to do that. You need time.
Yeah, if I do the Feynman method, I do it for pharmacy school in general. I only did for classes I needed an A in. And every time I did this method, I always got an A in that class. But I didn't really care about making it all A's, to be honest, because A's didn't really matter to me. So B's get
Oh,
degrees. So yeah,
okay. I mean, that's nice. I
I
think a
mean,
lot of people that are I think a lot of people that are listening this video are like, wait, what the fuck?
a lot of people in pharmacy school go by the idea of C's get degrees, C's get a doctorate. So a lot of people go by that way. So me going for
Is it
B's,
is it
it's like
because is it because pharmacy school is so hard?
it's because no one wants to put the time and effort into it. I mean, most people don't even study till the night of the exam. Those are the people
Jeez.
those are the people that do C's get degrees. 'Cause that's all they can get. I just study a little bit every day and get a B, which is fine. Now, if I do the Feynman method every single time, I get an A.
Makes sense.
I mean, I tested
If
my
you're listening to this,
hypothesis a couple times and it worked. So,
if you're listening to this, you need mostly A's to get into medical school, so please try to get A's.
I mean, yeah,
Don't be like me.
my science GPA though, like for undergrad and stuff, was like 3.8, and my cumulative undergrad GPA is like 3.7 though. So it's not like I have bad GPAs.
Wow,
I mean, my overall GPA now is
must
like
be nice.
3.4 with pharmacy thrown in there, but still, it's not bad.
Must be nice, bro.
I tried undergrad. I did. I tried pretty hard in undergrad. I didn't know about Anki though, so you guys have an upper hand now.
Oh yeah, if you're listening to this, please use Anki for the life of anything that you believe in, Buddha, a frog. Just use Anki. It's really good.
And our bonus tip here is visualize it. So when you're learning, you want to try to like use all your senses. So visualize the material, write it down, use all your senses as possible. Make sure you try to visualize it too. Sometimes visualizing the material makes it stick a lot better.
Um, I'll give you an extra bonus. Teach it to yourself or teach it to somebody else. Don't mind that your parents are or your parents or friends or whatever are listening to you talk to yourself on your bedroom. Just say it out loud. It'll sometimes it sticks better if you try to like talk it out loud, rationalize it, teach it to imagine that you're teaching it to a class.
That's the
Who
Feynman
cares
method.
what anybody thinks? Yeah, well, yeah, but I don't write it down. I
Yeah, it's the
just
same
talk it out.
concept though.
Well, there we go. All right, then I didn't know that I was doing the Feynman method. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
learning
Feynman
something
method.
every
You're just
day.
not writing it out. It's also called the rubber ducky method. A lot
Yeah.
of
Okay. Yeah.
programmers do
I've
that,
heard of that.
but they also do the same exact thing. That they explain it without using any jargon. So like, I don't know an example to use it, but like mechanisms of action. That's a jargon word in pharmacy school about how a drug works. I probably wouldn't be using it if I was explaining it to like a 6-year-old. Like, oh, this is how the drug works. Instead of saying like the
Right.
actual like acronym MOA for it. Try to
Makes
visualize
sense.
it. If you need help visualizing, just type in Google Images like the topic idea, like what is the coagulation cascade in the body? And then you get a picture of it, like, oh, that's the factors in it. Cool. You throw your drugs in there, you see how your drugs work in that pathway. Now you have a nice little picture you can refer back to. It's kind of summarizes the main topic for anticoagulation. So it's the same way most disease states. Like you get a slide of pathophysiology figured out, and they put the drugs in there.
Hmm.
Done. So hey, that's another bonus tip for you. So you got 3 bonus tips on this video. So
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for clicking and watching this video. See you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and then and
comment.
leave a comment.
Yeah. See you next time.
Go right
Peace.
ahead. Thank you. Bye bye.